Yeah, my name's Rick LeVert. I started the brewery here. Technically, I suppose I'm the head brewer, but I'm kind of the head everything. There is kind of a perception of Ireland having a beer culture, but it hasn't, not in recent times. It's really only had a Guinness culture. There's a lot of small breweries now that are working to change that and reintroduce a beer culture. It is a beer drinking, society. So we're trying to kind of then at least make it, that there is a beer culture to go along with beer drinking. We just become interested in something, and we started home brewing, and very quickly afterwards we started kind of scaling up our home brewing activities.
We first started planning the brewery. Our initial idea was to have it in Rathmullan, which is 10 kilometres from here. Although we looked in a lot of other places, we found nothing suitable, so the only place where we were going to be able to afford to build something was on a bit of property that belonged to my parents. I grew up here. My family moved here when I was 8. So the Kinnegar, which is the strand down below us here, was one of my great playgrounds growing up.
So the Kinnegar, if you look at it, if you're down there in the evening, you'll see there's actually quite a lot of rabbits and hares kind of floating around. So we gradually kind of made our way back to her home place. So we went from Berlin to Dublin for a few years and then to Donegal.
And it was just really nice to come back here and do something, and to be able to call it Kinnegar was even better.
We missed access to really good beer, and when we moved up here, we again, like the selection, what we could find was even that much smaller than what we had in Dublin when we were there. So I suppose that maybe kind of spurred us on to say, okay, why don't we try brewing our own?
When we started the project with Rick, we obviously had a very strict brief from him, and we learned from him what the process of brewing is and where deliveries come in, what has to happen with the process and where it goes out, etc. The logistics, architects have to do that with all projects. It's also nice doing work, or we try only to do work for people we like. And then if they do something that you like, it's an extra bonus. So what makes me very happy is when somebody goes looking for it, and they go looking for a brewery and they're expecting to see a building that it's a brewery, and I don't know what a brewery is supposed to look like, but if they can't find it and they think it's just a farm shed at the back, that makes me very happy. So if it looks like all the other buildings, then that is a unique quality, I think, and that would be a success in my book.
We're not employing 100 people, we're not employing 20 people yet. But we're in a very small rural community, and we are employing 7 people in a year's time, and that's 7 jobs that weren't here last year. And in a place like Donegal, which fluctuates between it's probably between 18 and 22% unemployment. A few jobs locally, that's not unimportant. When we bring people in, you realize that few people actually really know how beer is made. We want to encourage contact with the brewery. We want people to kind of understand what we're doing. We want people to feel, a sense of attachment to, the brewery, the people here, and the beers that we make.
My name's Julia. I'm the Kinnegar bartender here at Rathmullan House. The hotel would be very fancy, but this bar, you can feel it's very rustic, it's very kind of relaxed. It's all about the beer and it's all about the good food. I get the impression that once they've been at the brewery, they already have a different relationship to the beer. If once you know where where it's produced and what kind of work goes into it, you have a completely different relationship to the brewery itself as well. You know, you wouldn't just drink it really quickly and not appreciate it. And like I'm convinced by the quality of the beer, so I don't find it hard to convince people to try it. You know.
Devil's Backbone is a little hill ridge up behind the brewery here. Yanarati, which is our porter, sounds very exotic, but it's actually the name of the field next to the brewery. Scraggy Bay is just a nice little bay up on Mount Swilly. So, they're all real places and they all have kind of a particular meaning, I suppose, for us. Another one is Rust Bucket. That was named after our dog. I suppose part of what we're trying to do or express with the names, and not just the name of the company, but the names of our beers, is we've selected very kind of localized very local names, very kind of local landscape attributes to name our beers, to name the company. I'd say 95% of the people involved in kind of like what I call the small brewery movement, they're people who started off as home brewers. They're less precious about certain things and they're more interested in trying different things, and a lot of them are coming from what I would call a good food background.
The fact that new breweries are opening up, that means that competition is opening. And it means that if you don't brew good beers, you're going to go down. That's in the end what you want. You want the best beers.
Craft beers have become so popular. The big ones like Guinness, they always have their certain days, but now people with craft beers, it's the way to go. Like the more and more they come in, the more and more people are buying.
I think it's brilliant. You have all the big brands like Carlsberg, Heineken, whatever, and they're very bland because they're aiming for as mass market as possible. But the craft beers, a lot more flavour, a lot more going on. So I think it's brilliant.
It's not the easiest environment or not the easiest kind of location to actually start a business like this. Our cost of production is extremely high because of transport issues, because of, like right now, you may even hear bottles rattling in the background. We bottle everything by hand, more or less. So it means that we have our cost of packaging, of putting beer in bottles, is very high. If we do grow, then it's a question of, well, how do we maintain the philosophy and the ethos that we've put into it and yet go up another step?
It's something that breweries in our situation are constantly confronted with. We have a great setup because we have our work, I have my horse, Rick has his boat. It's what a lot of people I think dream of, and we've always, no matter what we've been doing in business, we've done it because it suited our personalities, and we'll continue to do it that way. So it's not necessarily always going to be the best commercial option, but it's the best commercial option for us in terms of reconciling, the life we want to lead with, making a living.